The cosmos does not call everyone to attention at the same moment. Most people are not built to hear what is being transmitted right now. Not because they are lesser, because they have not yet lived what you have lived. They have not yet arrived at the place where the noise of wanting things falls away and something quieter, something that knows, begins to speak instead. Something in you recognized this signal before your mind could explain it. That recognition is not coincidence. It is attunement. What the sky is about to do in the next 48 hours is designed for exactly that kind of attunement. Not for everyone, for those who have been paying a particular kind of attention, the kind that costs something. What is coming on March 27th and 28th will not announce itself with drama. Those who are meant to use this window will recognize it from the inside. The rest will move through the weekend and call it ordinary. You are not going to call it ordinary. On March 28th, at 5:40 in the afternoon Eastern Time, Saturn reaches 5 degrees 9 minutes of Aries and forms an exact sextile to Pluto at 5 degrees 9 minutes of Aquarius. This is the first major aspect between Saturn and Pluto since their conjunction in January of 2020. 6 years of whatever your life became after the world was rearranged. And now these two planets are in conversation again. Not in the tense square, not in the obliterating conjunction. In the sextile, the aspect of cooperative tension, of pressure that produces rather than destroys. The last time this aspect was exact was 2012 and 2013. Think back to what was being quietly rebuilt in your own life in that period. Not in visible crisis, in the slow, stubbornly determined way that permanent things get constructed, below the surface without an audience, over months. In 2026, the axis is Aries and Aquarius. Saturn in Aries, the discipline of beginning, the courage to initiate before conditions are perfect. Pluto in Aquarius, the transformation of collective belonging, of the structures of power that organize a life. The sextile says, what you are willing to build with genuine discipline right now has access to something transformative underneath it. The effort is entirely yours. The depth is available. This transit does not dazzle. It works the way the most important things in a woman's life work, quietly, below the surface, with results that only become visible months later when you look back and realize exactly when it changed. The exact sextile is the 28th, but the approach is active on the 27th, when Saturn and Pluto are within 1 degree, near exact orb, and the full quality of the energy is already present. The 27th is not a waiting room. It is the threshold itself. It is also the day Mercury in Pisces forms a semi-square to Chiron in Aries at 10 degrees 26 minutes to 25 degrees 26 minutes. Mercury semi-square, Chiron surfaces the thoughts that carry the wound. The places where your internal narrative about what is still possible for you runs on old programming, where a voice, and you already know whose voice it is, tells you the major chapters are written, that what remains is mostly maintenance rather than creation. I have sat with this voice myself, and I want to say something about it directly. It is not wisdom. It is scar tissue. Scar tissue protected you when protection was needed, but it was never meant to be a permanent filter on everything that comes after. The Mercury-Chiron aspect on the 27th asks you to notice, without armoring, where your own thinking is still being run by an old wound. Not to fix it in a day, to see it. Because what Saturn sextile Pluto is offering is structural support for something you are genuinely ready to build. Not what you once wanted. What you, in the life you have actually lived, know to be the next true thing. There is a quality of readiness that only comes from having been through something that should have broken you and did not. Saturn respects what has been earned through endurance, not what was performed, what was actually carried. Pluto respects what has been transformed through depth, what you went all the way into and came back from, changed. A woman who has moved through experiences that most people in their 20s cannot yet imagine carries a specific readiness for this transit. Not because she is finished becoming, because she has stopped pretending she does not know what she wants. The performance of uncertainty falls away at a certain point. What remains is the actual knowing, and the question becomes what she is going to do with it. The question this transit is asking is not whether you are capable. You settled that years ago. The question is whether you are willing to act as if your own vision matters enough to build something real around it. Whether you will bring the same quality of discipline to what you genuinely want for yourself that you have spent years applying to what everyone else needed from you. Pluto in Aquarius is transforming what belonging means. For a woman in her 40s and beyond, this often surfaces as the recognition that the version of belonging she worked to maintain was always conditional. Conditional on playing a particular role, minimizing a particular part of herself, managing other people's comfort at the cost of her own clarity. The transit is not asking her to leave everything. It is asking her to stop pretending the terms were acceptable. Saturn in Aries is the discipline to begin building on different terms. Not someday, in the 48 hours ahead and in the weeks that follow. Being chosen does not mean the cosmos selected you for ease while assigning others to difficulty. It means the cosmos is transmitting at a specific frequency and you have become capable of receiving it. You became capable through choices made over years, often without anyone watching. Every time you chose to look at something clearly rather than away from it. Every time you stayed with something difficult rather than finding the nearest exit. Every time you let what happened genuinely change you instead of hardening into someone who does not change anymore. Those choices built the receiver, and in these 48 hours, the receiver is being activated. What the chosen actually do is specific. They ask themselves one honest question: what is the one thing I have been postponing that I already know needs to begin? Not the comprehensive reinvention, the one thing, the conversation that has been forming, the decision that has been sitting in almost ready for longer than it should, the project, the commitment, the boundary that needs to be stated, the relationship that needs either genuine investment or honest release. Saturn's sextile Pluto does not supply motivation. It supplies structural support for whatever intention you are already carrying. The intention must be yours. The timing, 5 degrees 9 minutes of Aries meeting, 5 degrees 9 minutes of Aquarius, exact on Saturday evening, is real. It will not come again for many years, and you are here, watching this in the 48 hours before it peaks. That is not coincidence. That is attunement, working exactly as it is supposed to. The question is not whether the window is open. It is what you are walking through it, carrying